Welcome to Dental Unscripted, where Mike Dinsio and Paula Quinn break down the practice ownership journey, one episode at a time. Starting up, buying, and running a successful dental practice.
All right. We're back. Round two. Here we go. We are rolling right into the next part of this program. And it's, we just had a great episode, talked about a lot of the AR stuff that that folks need to really be paying attention to, the health of the AR. But again, as a reminder, if you're just jumping into this episode, go back, watch the last episode that we just published, because we are literally rolling into a part two. My name is Mike Dinsio. I'm one of the co-founders of Next Level. The other founder is the wonderful Paula Quinn. Hey, what's up, Paula? She just waved for us YouTubers.
Hey.
So today's special. We're doing a 2-part series on AR and all the amazingness. Paula, do you want to give a quick intro to Stefani so that we can keep our juices flowing on this process? But just real quick, Stafani Sandoval for the folks that are just tuning into this episode.
Yeah, 15 plus years front office. She leads our front office coaching academy, credentialing, billing, all things front office. Couldn't run this place without her. So, I think you said it best the beginning of last episode. We thought we were amazing. Didn't know what we were missing. And then once we brought Stefani in, it's like, how did we coach these front office?
we did it for so many years without Stefani. That's why a little plug on Next Level. I'll just take that opportunity right now. And I think a lot of consultants out there are just running a solo show. And I did, and Paula did. And it works. Like, I'm not cutting on other consultants.
Yeah, damn, I thought I was good.
I thought I was good too. And then and then we combined. I'm like, well, shit, we're real good now. And then 2 years into that, we're like, okay, there's a huge hole and it's at the front. And so Paula sniped Stefani out from under somebody else. And if you want to hear that story, go
join us in the evening about 7 o'clock.
No, you just gave all the goods of the last episode. So if you want to hear that story,
no, we didn't. I didn't give the goods. I gave the highlights.
Yeah. So Stefani, welcome to the show. It's great. It's really great to have you. And maybe say a little something about Next Level and how we really do work as a team and your role within the organization.
Yeah, no, you guys said it, so well earlier, but yeah, it's all things front office. It's nice because we all can talk to each other about, hey, I'm seeing this problem, in the front, and I'm sure it's causing this is why you're having the problem in the back, right? Whether it's treatment enrollment, right? And then, leading up to Mike, it's like, hey, I'm not making any money, right? So we all work together. But I always like to compare it to when we talk about job descriptions in the front. As a girl, we go to a hair salon. There's somebody who's great at color. There's somebody who's great at cuts, somebody who's great at facials. I wouldn't want to go to somebody who's great at facials to do my color, right? So everybody has a specific role because they're great at it. So,
Love that.
I think, when we talk about the front office specifically, is that, yeah, you can think you're great at everything, but maybe you're just mediocre at a lot, right?
Yeah.
And so
Jack of all trades, master of none, right? Jack of all trades, master of none. I love that stuff. I've never heard that before, but that's a good one. I'll use it. I'm not a girl, so I wouldn't know that one, but that's a good one.
What about me? I do my own facials and hair.
Paula is truly the jack of all trades. Well,
I colored my hair this morning.
Jeez, looks amazing. Alrighty.
Oh my goodness.
So let's just keep this rolling. We're a few minutes into Paula, the figurative drive to the office. You guys are just you're heading on the road, and this episode is really about how to help the front office. And I think you wanted to talk about some pitfalls before we jumped over to outsourcing. So ending on that note, where was your head at there with pitfalls before you might consider remote services? Did I?
Are you talking to me?
Yeah.
Or Stefani?
Yeah.
Oh,
Last episode, you said you wanted to hit some pitfalls.
Well, what I actually wanted to say is, which is different because I want Stefani to talk about the actual pitfalls. But for me, being a dental practice owner prior, I mean, for me, it's like, why wait till the pitfalls? I feel like I want you guys who didn't do the last episode yet, I talked about having that glass window and watching my front office. And one of the things that I want.
I remember those stories, dude. You used to call me. You used to call me and be like, "What is she doing? She's on YouTube watching TV." I'm like, "What?"
Like, look at the schedule tomorrow. And then I was on Medento texting everyone. I'm thinking I'm paying this person, and here I am, like,
yeah.
So, but what I really wanted to say was like, there to me, and Stefani being a front office for all those years can piggyback off this or talk different about me. But for me, I want patient experience.
Mm-hmm.
I want availability for treatment plan delivery, no matter how small, whether it's the hygienist getting ready to do a periotherapy, a gingivitis therapy, hell, a sealant. I want my front office available. I want my front office available to answer phones, really greet people when they walk through the door, smile. If they have to, stand up, walk around. I want it to be, listen, people aren't loyal today. Patients aren't as loyal as they used to be. We used to have 2 dentists in an entire town. Now we have 50. We also have the all loved zennials,
Go ahead. Yeah.
The all loved zennials that, listen, I'm raising a couple of them. Loyalty zero. You piss them off, they're gone, man. They'll write a bad Google review, bash your whole place, burn the place down, and then walk out.
Yeah.
So
yeah,
it's
and it has changed, right? Over the generations, stuff has just totally changed.
Oh, yeah.
And it's how they purchase too.
Like me, I'm in my 50s. I'm gonna go because it's convenient, even if I'm kind of like, I'm going to just keep going. Now, I'm a hygienist in the dental field, so obviously I'm going to be more picky, but I'm saying the average person. So for me, I want my front office to be all accurate, amazing, friendly, available.
Love it.
This outsourcing, which we're going to get into a minute, should be done when it can be. So for me, why wait for the pitfalls? Get it out of there.
Yeah.
And let your front office have time to do the things that are going to matter to retain and keep patients. That's my take.
Well, let's be honest. I'll let Stefani jump in with her points too. I know. But let's be honest. That's why you.
Muted. We can't even hear her laugh.
Well, she's gonna. I know. That's why you went outsourced, and then that's also why we Next Level took on outsourcing. Both because we were tired of hearing. Well, and even when we coach,
though, Michael, we see it every day.
That's what I'm saying. That's why we brought it in.
No, I learned a lesson for everybody else. So don't be my 23-year-old and have to wait till it hurts. Like, let me tell you, I'm wise and old.
What's your pitch on outsourced billing, Stefani? Why does?
Well, were we going to talk about that? We're now the pitfalls first, right? I just went into why wait on the pitfalls.
What are the pitfalls?
I think that coming from a front office, right? And I say this: not everybody gets bonuses. Not everybody gets incentives. But, there's certain numbers that reflect how I do at a front office, right? How I am at my job. One of those is being production. I want to be working and building out my provider schedule, right? And I can't do that if I have to go and argue with an insurance company because something's wrong with a claim and I didn't get paid for it, right? I can't go and get my hygiene audited or get recare overdue, on my books because I'm dealing with all of the nuances that I already have on top of, you know, a day-to-day interaction in a dental practice. So, you know, Paula's talking about she wants to have somebody readily available, and coming from me, it's like, I want to be available, but I also have other things I need to make sure is that those schedules are confirmed for tomorrow, right? That we don't have no shows. So she
All her
wants
little
something from
boxes.
me, right? And I want to do something for the better of the practice, but I can't because I'm weighted down by AR. Like it's I'm handling phone calls. Patients are upset about balances, yet I have to handle this irate patient when I have a brand new patient walking in. Like that's the worst look, right?
So I'm going to come back to you then, Stefani. So what I heard, again, I never worked in a dental office my entire life. And so what I hear both of you saying is like everybody has their own perception. The hygienist has a perception of the front, the doctor has a perception, and of course the front office has their perception. So there's like all these perceptions, as in like a perception of what your job is and what's most important. The front office person thinks this is most important. The hygienist thinks this is most important. The doctor thinks this is most important. And the poor front office person is just doing the best she freaking can. And she doesn't know what really is the priority. I remember, so Paula, you would call me, and I loved Paula's setup because her office was literally right behind the front office. So there's Paula like watching like an eagle. And everything, you know, and I was like, that poor girl in front. Like Paula's literally eagle eyeing her all day and listening to her calls. But that's funny. But
Then I'd hit my speaker and say, "Hey, what are you doing?"
yes, exactly. So Stefani, like as you're coaching these gals and guys like, at the front, like how do you help them figure out what is the most important, the most priority thing?
Achilles.
Like
Well, I think first what we do with the next level is first we figure out what is everybody responsible for. And then we sit back and say, is this realistic that this one person does all of these things? And then Paula will then set it up to say, is there any of these things that can be done by somebody else, whether it's a team member or can we outsource it? And that's where I think we're going to head into this, you know, segue here is, you know, is it cost effective to, you know, outsource or to keep it in-house? But, you know, it starts the conversation because I can say, yes, I can do it. But realistically, I'm not going to meet that expectation of what you want to get out of it. Right. And so we have to sit back and really think, is it too much?
I do feel bad for the front office team members that we coach because they're so loyal and dedicated and they don't want to disappoint. And they are smart enough to most of the time to handle it, or not to handle it, to know bits and pieces of it all. To handle it is a whole different thing. And it's hard for them to admit they're one person or sometimes two, depending on the size of the practice. And it's just not conducive. It's just not the right choice. And we try to walk in with kid gloves because we don't want to insult them. They're every intention they have is amazing. They're there for the practice. They're there for the patients. They're there to make the everything work efficiently. But there is a point, we are pretty lucky in the back, even though if you talk to a hygienist, that's a whole nother segment. They're going to say, I was in my cubicle. I never get I don't have enough time. Listen, all you doctors out there. And if we happen to have front office and hygienists listening, I thought I was the bomb biggity. I almost said it.
We've been on this podcast for 50 minutes. I've been waiting for somebody to do it.
I was the bomb biggity, and I'm the heart of the practice and the money. I'm a producer, and patients call to see me. But guess what? Sit 1 minute in that front office seat when the phone's ringing and people are walking in and somebody wants scheduled and you got to collect money and you got to figure out the stupid treatment plan. Like it is like the worst position in the whole office. There is a lot happening up there. So, it's okay. It's okay to outsource things if the doctor is willing. It's okay to, I can do this, but if you want me 100% capacity here, and here, it's going to better serve the patient's doctor and practice if we outsource this stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And that's a hard thing, because every time we talk, the front office, this is that, there's an excuse for everything, which I totally get, because there is, but it's so hard for them to let go of that.
Well, look, like just our business, like Stefani, little transparency. It's every business. It's every business. It's with Abby. It's with Abby, our executive assistant. It's with Dan. It's with Stefani. A company throws a lot of stuff at their employees.
Small businesses, especially.
Yeah, and it starts off just enough, and then the owner's like, "Well, can you take on some more?" And Stefani, you're like, "Of course I can take on some more. I love you guys." And then, "Can you take on some more? Can you take on some more?" And do we
really ask?
No, you don't. As owners, you don't. You just throw it at them, and then they don't want to disappoint, like Paula said, until it becomes a problem. And then the employee's like, "Well, look, you freaking jerk! Like, how am I supposed to do this?" And then the owners are like, "Well, we didn't know. You just kept saying yes." And Stefani, you were there. You were there at Next Level. I bet you were there at a dental office too. And at some point, someone's got to say, "I need help." And for the patients,
I think what happens is like, we all then can say, this is a priority to me. Not because, right, you guys hire somebody to do something, not necessarily because you don't know how to do it, but most of the time doctors don't know how to do it themselves. So what you may think is just an easy task is maybe a little bit gruesome, right? And it takes a lot of time. But the difficult part is it goes back to is like, well, what's the priority? Because everything seems urgent that's being thrown at me. So either I need it very clear as scrap what you're doing. I don't care.
Are we still talking about dental front office?
Yes. Scrap what you're doing. So like Paula's saying, it's like, hey, I'm trying to get this claim paid. And here the doc's like, how come my schedule's not full tomorrow? Well, which one's my priority? Like, is it getting you money, or is it, getting your schedule full for you to make money? Like, either way, it's about money, right? But where's the priority? So I think it's really hard as a front office when I think I'm doing my job, and here, you're saying this isn't a big deal, blah, blah, blah. Okay, well, then I'm always going to think that handling these outstanding claims aren't a big deal. And this is now where I get myself into trouble.
Love it.
And I think the thing, it just hit me. And I, because we get in offices all the time and no statements are sent for months on end. And you're like, how hard is it to push a button and send a statement out? But I think part of the problem is these front office people, team members, are probably thinking, well, I got to audit this because I don't want this to just go to someone if it was our mistake, or is it? So then they're like putting it on hold, trying to find that time to do that.
And then next thing you know,
can you guys hear that?
Oh yeah, Coda for the audience. Eventually, Coda will be the star at some point. But when he feels Paula getting all jacked up, like Paula's energy starts rising, Coda starts chiming in. So folks, when you got to jump. See, so when you go to onto YouTube, you can see Paula getting real amped and hear it from Coda. I think that
he's just backing me. He's just
backing me. He's like, you get it, girl. You get it. Yeah, you're hype boy. I love it. No, I don't think front office folks are going to ever raise their hand and say, "I need help. Can you please outsource some stuff?" They won't. They'll either say, "I need some help up front." And by the way, let me have that part of the program. Okay, so let's talk money real quick. So someone has the safety to go to their employer and say, "I need help." That's already hard. But it's almost like when you decide you want to fire someone, it's like so late. It's the same thing when someone finally says they need help, dude. Who the hell knows what it took to get to that
part?
And
I don't think that it necessarily always comes out in the form of "I need help." It's "I want more money. I have a lot of this stuff is a lot of work." I think That's you true. Hear it in two different ways.
That's
right?
true. That's true. Because if you say that's I want, that's great, because actually there's only so many hours in the day. So if someone's asking for more money, you're not going to get more capacity. So now your wages are just going up, and it's even more of a shit show because that girl can't do it all. So if she's saying she wants a raise because she's doing all this stuff, or she's saying she wants help, that might be the first flag of saying, hey, I got to look at this. And then the question is do I hire a whole nother person, full-time, benefits, payroll tax, anxiety attacks? They can't come into work today because they have anxiety.
Personality, behavior style.
A personality, a behavior, a culture, potential shift. Again, I'll say it again, anxiety. I always say that. I can't come into work. I've got anxiety today. Like get
a Gen Z.
Gen Zer. You can't.
I only make fun of them because I have two of them.
I know. We all do. We all have anxiety. But the point is like, do you want that, or do you potentially look at outside services? And we actually have a webinar coming up here pretty soon about AI and outside services and all that stuff. But like, this is a real thing that I think a lot of doctors are thinking. Consider, what if you could pay an employee as a 1099, no payroll tax, as a 1099, and only pay them on their performance. So if their performance suck, you don't have to pay them. If they perform, you pay them. And it's just performance. Like, man, that's sweet. And they have to show up or they're going to get fired. They can't have anxiety. You know, they don't get paid unless they do their job. That's the perfect quote unquote employee. And that is outside services. So what are some of those outside services? And let's list them real quick, and then let's pivot to billing, because I think that's what we really want to talk about. So Paula, what are the outside services you would consider?
All outside services?
Well, I think there's only so many you can do up front.
You know, there's people who outsource recare and reactivation, unscheduled treatment. There's outsourcing insurance verification and entry. Well,
you're going so fast. I can't even write this down. So wait, you hit some good ones there.
Well, because I don't. I mean, we're not. That's something I recommend, but don't do. So, reactivation and recare. So getting patients engaged back in the practice, unscheduled treatment in general, which usually does not go hand in hand. There's not a lot out there that does unscheduled treatment. There's people who, when the phones roll over, answer after hours. So we've got anywhere from AI to live people who can do something like that. Insurance verification and entry, and then outsourced billing, I think, are probably the main ones. Personally, I feel, it depends on what stage you are in your dental journey of probably what's most important. But I do think outsourcing billing is probably a number one priority. I think it's someone who, it's all they do, so they're an expert. I think that they're not distracted. When they're in your office, they're in your office, and I mean remotely. They're paying attention to the detail, what's going out, what's coming back in. I just don't think a front office can physically and mentally give it the time and attention that someone who's dedicated to your office, that's not distracted by all the other whirlwinds, can do. Just physically cannot do.
Why do you think billing's the easiest to probably incorporate? I mean, I
didn't say the easiest.
Yeah. But it is probably the first one that people think of first.
But I told you the last episode, I had some really bad billers.
Yeah.
So it can be as detrimental. So, you've got to know what's happening. However, why is it the easiest? You don't have to know the patient intimately. Outsourcing reactivation and unscheduled treatment, it's, if the hygienist or someone in the practice can, patient AR, all of that, you really need someone to know your patients intimately, or it can be hit or miss. Billing, we're not talking to patients. We're looking at numbers. We're looking at attachments. We're looking at all of that documentation. And that's, that would be the easiest to so they're not touching your patients and damaging anything.
Yeah. Well said. Well said. I also think it has probably the highest impact, right? Like cost per impact. So So
Yeah, we're paid on a percentage of. So it's a win-win situation. There's no win-lose.
yeah,
It's all 100% a percent of. Where when you outsource phone calls, there's usually a startup fee and a flat fee and a per, and then there's all these things that it's like, where ours is a direct reflection on our
yeah,
Stefani,
yeah,
our performance.
yeah. No, Stefani, I was actually going to kick this over
She's
to you.
muted. Unmute yourself, Stefani.
No, well, we're going to Stefani next. Like, how does it even work? Like for anybody, that is considering something like this, like what does that first step look like? Because I would have to imagine, because I get that sales call every once in a while. I was like, well, how would I even do this? Like you're going to do my billing? Like it's kind of like a concept that's just really hard to incorporate in their mind. So walk us through kind of what a third party biller kind of does with you to get you onboarded. Does that make sense?
Yeah. So, our goal is to pretend like we're in the practice, right? Like just we're not a body, right? But we want to work for your money as hard as you would want any team member. I'm going to say luckily, we get to do just one thing, and it's just billing. We don't have to be worried about the disruptions that come with hey, Cindy's busy. Can you help her? Right? We're strictly billing. So what we do is we get access to your computer, just like we were sitting right in front of it. We have portal logins. We make sure that, everybody's on the same page with who's doing what, right? And our first thing is like, yeah, we're going to deal with the day-to-day, insurance payments coming in. We'll handle the appeals as they come in. But on the side, we're also now diving into your old stuff, right? We're working at those oldest claims, and we have a game plan to tackle it, right? And to be as efficient as possible, touching it one time, right? Our billers are resolution driven. They don't want to have to keep working harder and working on these insurance claims. They want to get them cleaned up, right? And so they can be intentional when they touch it. So we make sure that transparency is very clear between the biller and the office. So you know what we're working on, the status of whatever claim it is. If there's a discrepancy in the posting, we let you know. I think on the other hand, reporting back. So some of these docs don't look at their reportings. They're just like, meh, whatever.
We
We
talked
let you
about
know.
that in the last episode.
Yeah, we let you know your patient AR hasn't moved at all in a month. That's something that should be alarming, right? We're seeing trends. I have an office in Arizona. There's 6 claims that don't have perio charting that we've been asking for, right? Because we're not sending it unless we have it. But we can start taking that as a teaching moment for these offices to better, right? Better systems. So I think overall, if I had to bundle it in, how do we start? We act like we're there, right? It's just implementing a few systems on our end to make sure that we can communicate outside of your dental practice.
One thing I'd add to that, and Stefani, tell me if I'm wrong. They don't really need to know. We onboard and communicate with the practice in the beginning to make them feel good, but Stefani and her billers, they don't really need an intro to anything. They could numbers tell a story, and they could jump right in there and they know exactly what's going on. They don't need high direction. It's very
Yeah, I don't
they
need
know
a
what to do.
backlog of what you thought you were doing, or this one needs an appeal. It's because what we see is that time that says, oh, they needed this. But why then? Because us saying, well, why didn't you send it doesn't really help. We're going to make sure that you asked all the right questions. We know exactly what needs to happen to get this done. But we want to work with the team. Like, it's not just you outsource it, you don't have to think about it, because we are in everyday communications with the front office team of, hey, this insurance termed, right? We need to get this claim resubmitted. What's going on? You have the wrong date of birth, right? And if what it takes on the other end, I believe, is getting that information from your biller and doing something with it. I think that's really where you can get exceptional service, right? Because we're going to do what we do to everybody. Where it makes it exceptional is what your offices choose to use that information and do, make those actions.
Agreed. You're a mute.
You're
Indeed.
unmuted.
So crap. I had a conversation with a client just the other day, and it was a front office gal, and good for her for having the open mind of third party billing. But like in her mind, the office was so unique that they do certain things that are different. And she just couldn't get her head around, well, how would someone remote in and know this stuff? Right. And so like, I think that we need to kind of talk about like any remote bill service should have the ability. I mean that the job isn't as complex, I think, as the front office people have it in their head. Like it's so personal to my office. We're talking about insurance claims. Now, patient portion, that might be a little different conversation. Again, someone that's never worked in an office, walk me through that. Like, is it really a personal thing, or is it really more of this is a job we got to do?
Yeah, it's just a job. I think what happens is when we start getting the pushback, it's because we're going to discover a lot of things, right? And so if the office is the one making the mistake, they're going to be the one to cover it up, right? So when you have just a non-biased party going in there doing the billing, saying, "Hey, patient portion is this. Why didn't we write it off?" Because it shouldn't be written off. Like it is the patient's responsibility. But you maybe didn't quote them accurately. So now we run into this issue of, I'm just going to cover this up, right? So you have the same person making the mistake, seeing the mistake, and having the ability to cover it up. So go ahead, Paul. I know that you're about to jump in on that.
Well, okay, what I was going to say, and this is it, just in a little bit of defense, is I'm sure there are people who intentionally cover it up, but I also think they think, oh, well, we didn't quote them for this fluoride, so it's our office responsibility to write it off. So part of it is, yes, self-preservation, but I do think some of it's just they actually don't know. This
But
is
it goes
totally,
to documenting it correctly. Like if you want to adjust it off, we're not going to hide it in the insurance write-off. So you guys are going to accurately be able to see these issues because it's not the rule, right?
and technically they should go to the doc and say, we did not, with all transparency, I did not tell this patient about the buildup. The buildup happened. How would you like me to handle this? Most docs are probably going to say, well, can you have a conversation and save it? But the office is thinking, oh, we didn't quote them. Let's just write it off. And office owners never know that. And so, yes, I do think, I don't even know if it's 50-50, probably 70-30. There is a small percentage that probably write it off because they're like, well, shit, I'm getting my butt chewed and I messed up. But I think a lot of them think, well, what am I supposed to do? We didn't quote it. They're not even taking the responsibility. They're just saying, well, it didn't get quoted, so the office has to eat it. We're small business owners. That's a lot of money, a lot of money. Buildups add up over time. Fluoride adds up over time. Downgrading adds up over time. Missing tooth claws adds up over time. It's a lot of money that dentists don't even know that just gets written off.
If anything, it brings a conversation to what Paul is saying, right? Is that we are by the books when it comes to posting and billing. So if you want to do anything outside of that, right? If a non-covered service, you can charge your UCR, right? And so there's, depending on the state and the contracts, but like we're going to make that match it. So if you don't want it, that's fine. You can get rid of it. But it has the conversation of, well, maybe I would want to do this, right? Working smarter and not harder for your own money, but you wouldn't know otherwise, right? Because empathy is a great thing that front office have. It's what makes them so special and so unique. But when you put that, when it comes to playing with, dealing with your money, it's really hard to have them have the business mind first, and I think you need that for a strong biller. You need to have that business mind first. And I think it's impossible, to have that and being in the front every day.
Yeah, it's tough. It's just another reason why ownership is challenging. And I think like if there's anything that you take away from any of these podcasts, any Facebook threads, wherever you're getting your information, it's really like there's so many things to manage and look through and stay on top of. And ARs in front is just so important. You know, Paula always said, I'll end it on this. It's like the hygiene is the engine of a practice, and it is.
Is it the heart?
But okay. But to me, the front office is the engine, right? And so, I mean, no one's got anything to do back there if it's not for the front. And if there's nothing to do back there, then there's nothing to collect. And there's just so many things that a practice can struggle. You can have the best practitioners, the best hygienists, the best customer service waiting for patients. But if the front office doesn't schedule and collect, you're screwed. So I guess on that note, you know, I think we communicated what outside services can make a difference in your practice. I think billing's a good one to consider. And yeah, I guess on that note, ladies, any final notes before I shut this bad boy down?
No, well, yeah, I say no, and then I say yeah. Just one last thing would be one thing that we encourage, you know, as team members, as next level, as coaches, is I think the more educated as a practice owner that you can make yourself, the better off you'll be. I think the days of just, I don't know that, I don't want to, like, that's their department, is just over. Because for so long, dental was treated as a service industry, and it really is a business. It's a business. Mm-hmm. We're not just healthcare providers. We have to run a business. And I think the more you know, the more as Stefani said 30 times, are preventative, you're going to be okay. No one's perfect, but I think you're going to be okay. So just paying attention would be my advice.
I love it. All right. Ladies, this was a great episode. You guys
super long. Sorry.
super long, but worthwhile. And I think our folks got a lot out of it. So without further ado, I guess I'll see you on a coaching call somewhere later today. Talk to you later.
Okay. All right. Bye.
Bye.
Thanks for listening. Let us know how you like the show. Rate us on Apple and Spotify. Subscribe and follow for more.